What I like about Fort Smith is the quality of life, especially where I live. It's very peaceful, it's very calm, not a lot going on. It's a small town. My parents have always been a good example to my sisters and I, doing everything the right way, treating people right, working hard. They definitely set a good foundation. They definitely did things the right way. And so I decided to coach again. I was working a couple of part-time jobs. I started my bachelor's degree online, staying pretty busy. 2 jobs, going to school, coaching, and so I enjoyed it. Best things about moving to Fort Smith was the church dynamic, because to me, faith in God is key. But faith is important, and instilling the boys to love and treat people right, work hard, loving others. And so it's good when you have that kind of example set.
Welcome to Mindset with Molly. Today I'm joined by Jose Socorro. I hope I said that right. A professional leader, creative spirit, and committed community member. Jose's journey from New Jersey to Fort Smith is full of purpose, family, community impact. So let's dive in. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. The first time we met, you had the coolest glasses on and almost fell flat on your face.
They're pretty cool glasses. Yeah, they're my DJ glasses.
We'll get into that too.
Yes.
I would love to see you DJing as well. You've got a good vibe, and I feel like you can really hype people up.
Well, thank you. Yes, I can. 9+ years, you learn a lot. And so being from the city, country music was something I had to acquire and learn about. When I lived in Oklahoma for a couple of years, there were a lot of country weddings. And so here I am trying to figure out, all right, I don't know this genre very well, but it just took one wedding at a time, learning who the artists were. And then you learn that in this part of the country, old country music reigns supreme, and that a lot of people don't like the new. So sorry, Luke Bryant. But it's just...
And Morgan Wallen.
That's
and
right.
Jelly Roll.
Morgan's okay.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, my first years DJing, Luke Bryant and Taylor Swift were always on the do not play list.
Well, I can kind of see. I like some of his songs, but I don't know them all. Honestly, I just listen to whatever is on the radio. I don't buy any CDs CDs aren't really even a thing anymore. I don't buy on Apple Music.
Well,
really.
I do buy an Apple Music. I miss CDs. I remember growing up on CDs.
We'd have burned ones all the time.
Napster, and I mean, I can go on and on, but yeah, CDs were great.
LimeWire, is that the other one?
I tried LimeWire.
Did it give you too many viruses?
No, but Napster was okay, but it was interesting for sure.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about growing up in New Jersey and what your life was like there?
Yes. So I am a late 80s kid and saw most of the 90s. So I want to claim the 80s, but the 90s is what I claim. I grew up in Jersey and have 2 sisters. My parents are still married. My dad came over from the Dominican Republic in the 80s, and basically my mom raised my sisters and I while my dad worked and all. And so played sports, was in various groups. I wouldn't call myself the straight A student, but I had a teacher in 3rd grade that really helped me to become a better student, better learn how to read, write, and all. And that made a big difference. Then I became a B with some C students. So it was a good experience. Growing up in New Jersey, my parents got me involved in all kinds of activities, Boy Scouts, sports. I tried to pick up sports. I was okay with it, but it didn't stick. And I know growing up in the 90s, being of the Caribbean descent, sports was pretty important. It was a kind of a way to get out and succeed. So even though I didn't make it to the NBA, sorry, Dad, I like sports and it turned out okay. But I did music. That was the big, I guess, the saving grace for me.
What'd you play?
Saxophone.
Do you still play?
Not as much, but as needed. I play piano mainly these days at church. But yeah, saxophone is my instrument. Mm-hmm. And there was a time where I was just working my way up. I had good music teachers too. That's the thing I like about New Jersey is the music, the culture, the arts, the sports world. It's a big melting pot. The only thing I don't care about New Jersey, still don't, is the cost of living, and every exit has a toll. And I know many people that go to Dallas, like, oh, Dallas has tolls. You have no idea. New Jersey trumps Dallas and whatever Oklahoma passes off for tolls. So
yeah.
we should be glad we don't have tolls in Arkansas. So thank you, Arkansas.
Yeah. I see a ring on your hand. So you did something good in sports.
I did. That
Yeah.
worked out pretty cool. So in 2012, I had just finished school went to a school in Southwest Missouri. My dad started a small business with my uncle. We moved to South Jersey, Absecon, which is a couple miles from Atlantic City. And I had just coached high school football at a high school in Southwest Missouri. Did that. It was cool. I was like, all right, I did it. I checked it off. Not going to do it again. Well, I moved and I said, all right, let me do it. So it was a Catholic high school. And one thing about New Jersey is that the Catholic high schools are like mini colleges, and the resources and the investment and the efforts they get kids to move around. Oh, did I say that out loud? Is unparalleled. I mean, just going to a game, it's like, man, this is like almost going to an Arkansas game minus the 50, 100,000 people that show up. And so I decided to coach again. I was working a couple of part-time jobs, started my bachelor's degree online, and staying pretty busy, right? 2 jobs, going to school, coaching. And so I enjoyed it. It was great. We ended up winning states. And it was an interesting year because the coach prior to the new guy had left. They had won a couple championships. And so this team they had, nobody really believed in them. So this coach, he's a good guy, old school guy, came in, took over, wasn't an alum of the school. So it's like one of the first coaches that isn't associated with the school. Went in there, very old school, fundamentals and basics. And that's when I learned like life principles too. Flashy and like the easy way to get to success isn't always going to pan out and work out, but doing everything the old school way, like 1, 2, 3, there's a process, follow that. We ended up losing a couple games. We had a star player leave, and then we had Hurricane Sandy hit. So there was a lot going on, and it's kind of one of those movies like Friday Night Lights or Remember the Times where they get written out, because there's a lot of parallels there. We ended up winning. Actually, we played a team in the state title game on a Saturday night in December, and they had a kid that was going to like Auburn, and we ended up beating that team like 30-6. And these are small kids, but the difference is these small kids were disciplined. They played well together and they worked very hard. Yeah. And to me, that's good to see that hard work pays off and doing things the right way still holds true.
And you said that was in Missouri.
That was in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. Did I hear Missouri?
So yes, when I was in school, my senior year, I was a volunteer freshman, a varsity assistant for a high school in Southwest Missouri.
Okay. So you were getting your bachelor's at that time too. Did you meet your wife during your undergraduate degree or during your master's degree?
Well, I met her actually when I moved to Oklahoma in 2015.
Okay.
So from 2012 to 2015, I moved back to New Jersey, reconnected with my parents, got to visit with my sisters, and got to do all kinds of fun things. So basically work 50, 70 hours a week. That's the single life there too. You know, beach tan and laundry, that's the Jersey Shore mantra. Those girls weren't sticking to a modest, simple guy with Midwest taste. So you just had a lot of time on your hands to go to school, to work, and meet folks. And I had a fun time. I mean, I got to meet some great people when I was doing football recruiting and working for a football sports marketing firm. Got to meet former NFL players and coaches through that. So it was fun. I wanted to coach. That was kind of something I really wanted to do. I wanted to coach high school and then maybe coach at the college level, but those were not the plans for me. So I moved to Oklahoma in 2015 and finished up at Oral Roberts University, go Golden Eagles. And I actually met my wife through a friend at the church across the street, and that's how the story goes.
Okay. So how long did y'all stay in Oklahoma? 2015 to
about 2018.
Okay.
So what's interesting is like I was wanting to go to Dallas. I like Dallas. I've been there 2 times, liked everything about it. The big city, the sports, and I just love Texas. Uh-huh. But we ended up going to Northwest Arkansas, which was really good because I remember when I went to school.
That's completely different.
It's completely different.
Well, Austin and Northwest Arkansas kind of are similar.
There are
but
similarities.
Not Dallas. I don't feel like. Yeah.
What was interesting is like when I was in college, I would go to Rogers for a business competition, and I loved it. So the one thing I always remember, and I tell the story from time to time, is there used to be a Coca-Cola sign where the Crossland Construction Building is now. And there's the big embassy suites everybody knows about, and then you see the Home Depot and the Red Lobster. I'm like, this place is amazing, because in New Jersey, those kind of areas are like high end. You know, you have to come from good money, or your parents have to work, have good jobs, and so to see that in Northwest Arkansas, I'm like, and you don't have to have like the big dollars. I was like, this is really cool, and I want to be here one day. So we made the move in 2018, and ended up. I had a brief stint with a company doing some sales, and then I ended up going over to JB Hunt, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. And then also I happened to be at JB Hunt right in the middle of COVID, which, boy, what a dynamic COVID was. I could remember that Friday when the president made the announcement, and you had all the leaders from, I think you had business leaders and all, and COVID. And I was like, whoa, what does this mean? And then the next day, I actually had DJed a wedding in Oklahoma right around that time. I can share it now because about a couple years later. And it's interesting because that couple is a Fort Smith couple. That wedding I DJed.
Oh. And
so I actually stay in contact with them, and actually ended up working a wedding with them a couple years later. So it was kind of interesting, but yeah, a little fun in the middle of the chaos. Especially with freight, there's money, there's costs, and my team was working with entertainment groups. So when COVID happened, all that revenue that you come in just went flat. Mm-hmm. But then there was other ways and other opportunities. Think about JB Hunt. Most people think, they fire, and they actually don't fire. You work yourself out. So I made sure I worked very hard and reached out to different teams, because this work from home stuff, I just know if you don't do a good job, it can go wrong very, very quick. But it ended up working out. I actually liked staying home for 12 weeks, and then I wanted to be back in the office. Mm-hmm. I'm weird like that. Actually, I think I'm okay, but some people are like, I want to work from home.
Well, you probably like the social aspect of it all as well. Do.
Yes.
You're a very personable person, so I feel like interaction kind of motivates you as well.
It does. It's important. My wife's the opposite of that, but that's okay. It's complimentary. I mean, she's kind. She'll talk to folks, but she can go a couple hours just being by herself or being in a peaceful place, which is good.
So 2018, JB Hunt, and then, of course, you said COVID, and then y'all came here in 2022?
We came in 2022. So I had after JB Hunt, I went over to Central States, metal manufacturer in Lowell, great company to work for, great organization. They keep growing, expanding, and a lot of cool things happened there as well. So my time at JB Hunt had prepared me to go into Central States. And it's funny because Central States is actually right behind JB Hunt. Mm-hmm. And so they do, there's trucking, but then they have different things they service and all. So I was there for about 2 years, and right around that time, I actually had my first son. So as I started Central States, I was like, hey, we're going to have our first kid. I was like, woo, awesome. And so it just worked out very well. A good company. I mean, they are very community oriented. They support the community like I've never seen before. And I actually was able to bring on a project to support military or veterans, I should say, which is the Wreaths Across America. Great organization. And so I remember the CEO months after just thanking me, just, hey, thanks for bringing this project, man. And I was at an event where the mayor of Bentonville was, and she was like, thank you guys for this. We appreciate it. And now it started from just a support of a certain dollar amount to now where they have certain trucks that are vehicle wrapped with the Wreaths Across America. Drivers are picking up the wreaths, and that is so cool.
That is really cool.
I had someone text me.
To know that you had a hand that dealt in getting that going.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like our veterans don't get the recognition and support. Mm-hmm. And although I never served and had family that served, freedom isn't free, and I'm thankful for those that went before me to make sure of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and knowing that your dad was an immigrant to, America as well. So how does that kind of play into everything for you?
Well, my parents have always been a good example to my sisters and I, doing everything the right way, going through the process to become citizens, treating people right, working hard. They're hardworking individuals. I mean, my dad worked he had full-time, then he'd work part-time. And then it's my mom is a 20-plus year custodian, And so a lot of hard work, and it's a job she's had for a long time. The stability and the compliments that she gets, the accolades. With her work ethic, she can lead and run, but she's like, I don't want to do that. So, and my dad's in cars, just repairing them and fixing them. He's done that for a long time. And so they're just very hardworking individuals that have set good foundations and good principles and kind of modeled, this is what you need to do to get forward. They had zero tolerance for doing things the wrong way or mistreating people. I'll tell you that. Especially my sisters and I would get into fights. They had zero tolerance for that. We don't do that anymore. But they definitely set a good foundation. They definitely did things the right way, and so it's kind of good when you have that kind of example set.
I think I need a conversation with them.
Well, probably my mom, because she speaks good English.
Continue to bicker,
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from with that. So y'all moved here in 2022. So were you still working in Northwest Arkansas and then commuting back and forth? And what brought you to Fort Smith?
That's a good question. So in 22, it was a transition period. And so when I was looking to see what was out there for new opportunities, I, of course, was looking in Northwest, and I seen something from Fort Smith, a couple of things pop up, and so I remember a recruiter reached out to me. We talked, and of course I put a really high number, so I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything. And then my wife was talking to my mother-in-law, and I was mowing the yard at the time, and she's like, Jose, you need to go call that company. You need to adjust the asking number, and you need to pursue this. I'm like, you got it. Yes, ma'am. So I did that, worked out well, interviewed, started within 2 months of that. And so I had to find a house. My wife was able to find a house. And so once we got that, it was about 2 months before we were able to do anything. So I would be driving down early Monday mornings, driving up Thursday, then driving up Friday, because I had my boy, he was just maybe a year old or so. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to see my son. And I still was DJing weddings too. So I stayed pretty busy. I kind of learned from last time as well, because when we were moving in 2018, I was actually living with someone while my wife was getting a job, and we're trying, find a place to live. So I learned from that, just make sure we don't do too much on the weekends, which I don't remember if I did or didn't. I may have. I'm not sure. It's been a while, but
yeah.
We moved, we found a home, worked out really well, and then I was with that employer for about a year and a half, and then did a couple other things, and from those other things, that led me to JamPro in 2024.
Okay, and tell us about your role at JamPro.
So my role at JamPro is to serve and support many, many, many stakeholders. We have three aspects of it. We have the cleaning and disinfecting, which is the bread and butter, the franchisees, the individuals that want to start their own business. And the best way for them to do that is by owning a cleaning company and partnering with us. And we help each other in that way. And we have the franchise development, which is the role I am, where I help connect folks to the right resources and present them the opportunities. And if it's a great fit, then we move forward. And if it's not, well, we can try another time. And within that role, there's also the growing the business and letting our Kansas know, or the region I cover, we work to clean the best toilets in the state. And we try to build a partnership. We try to not to make it a transaction. There is a transaction involved, but we tried to make it where we're part of the team and we're going to do our best. Do we get it right all the time? No, we make mistakes. It's just how well do we recover and put a plan in place. And then there's the Systems International, which is the corporate support office out of Georgia. And so there's three aspects, and they all work hand in hand. The parent company for Arkansas is out of Little Rock, the Beck Davis Group, good people. They are people-minded, and they love their franchisees. And if you take care of them, they'll take care of you. If you don't do right by the franchisees, we need to have a conversation, because we're here for them. So it's interesting. Just because I have a title, it really doesn't mean much. I have a lot of stakeholders, right? The franchisees, the customers, and then the vendors who supply the resources and all. So, like I said, I just help support the team. We have a team in Northwest. That's where we office out of. We have three offices in Arkansas, Little Rock being the main office, Jonesboro. and also Rogers. And we also have a Springfield, Missouri office as well. So it's interesting because it's a family-owned business. It started in '05, and the son has just taken over about 8 years ago, and it's grown. And the Jam Pro folks are like, man, this guy's great. So he'll speak at events, and he'll every once in a while say something really cool about me. Like, man, nice. It's good to know work is paying off. But they've been good people, the Beck Davis Group, and they're Arkansans, and it's good to see Arkansas businesses grow and flourish.
How do you think that your background in manufacturing and logistics kind of shaped how you lead today with JanPro?
Servant leadership, a lot of patience and humility. Well, at JB Hunt, I mean, I worked with some amazing people. I mean, they were really good at what they did. And I was a freight broker, so it gets an ugly name, but it's basically a combination of selling freight to trucking groups, and it's also making sure that the load gets from A to B. And then when I went over to Central States, they had 3 core values that I repeat yearly and share with people. It is act and love, which when it comes to dealing with drivers or individuals older than they may be like your parents' age, but you've got to work with them and you're responsible for their success. So there is a accountability, but also we got to work together. So we got to find a way. Owning it, which is my generation, that word owning it is hard because we made a mistake. Well, so-and-so didn't do this, so I didn't do that. Well, owning it means even if it's not your fault, just find a way and get it done. Mm-hmm. And then it's a can-do attitude, which is man, this is hard and I'm down. I got a lot going on, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to work to get it done. And Central States being an employee-owned company, it is a common principle for what they call ESOPs, to have that mindset of you're the owner, but you have an input, but you don't have the final say. There's still a structure of leadership and mid-level managers and associates. But those 3 core values are like, man, that speaks a lot because I see that is a struggle sometimes, whether it be me or whether it be interacting with franchisees. It's just whether it's your fault or not, we have to put on let's fix it and let's make it right, regardless of the circumstances. And now I understand, like when my parents get on to me, well, it's not my fault, I didn't do it. Just get it done. Right. Take responsibility. And it's amazing when you do those things, how much better the outcome of the situation is and how much better of a person you are. But it's servant leadership because at Central States, I supported a plant out of state. And I didn't see him very much. I saw him because I would drive up a few times a year to Missouri in the St. Louis area to check in with the drivers, check in with the plant leadership, and check in with the plant associates. And a lot of the times, if we had to make changes, it would be a call at any time, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night. And these trucks have 40,000 pounds of metal. Hey, situation came down, line broke down, or hey, this trailer is broke. I need your help. And guess what? I'm the guy. There's no person behind me. And if it goes up to my manager, then that's a bigger problem. So you
better figure it out.
Yeah, we need to figure it out. And so a lot of the things I had to do when I was there is also build relationships with the vendors. Now, the union-owned businesses were a lot of pain to deal with. Nice people, but they have so many rules, and they're like, well, we do the bare minimum. I'm like, oh, my goodness. But still having to work through that. I mean, I had drivers, I'd be on the phone, hey, my truck broke down, and I have a load at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm 2 hours away from the plant, and per driving regulations, I'm out of hours. If I do anything else, I'm in trouble. So it's taking those phone calls late at night. It's troubleshooting with customers too, because you had direct access with the customers. At Central States, the drivers were the face of the company because they made the deliveries. Right. So it was just also if there was a bad experience, right? Do I switch out the driver or do I need to change the routes? So there was just a lot of interactions, but servant leadership and just being like getting it done. So check 6. So that's a military term. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Mm-mm. So there's a gentleman that his name is Lieutenant Colonel Waldo Waldman, and I read his book and it's phenomenal. And it's all about teamwork and making sure you have your plans in place and you're doing the right things to succeed. And the check 6 term, as I understand it, is basically I cover your back. Like as a parent, right? And you're sitting down, your kids are playing, and you have the one kid that is doing something and you're like, man, that he's going to hurt himself. and you see it, and then you act on it, and you stop it, or they're old enough so you're like, hey, son, you're about to trip, watch your step. And so the check six is basically covering, because in military operations, like if Air Force, for example, you have 3 planes that are flying. The one plane behind is able to see what's in front. The front's not going to see anything, so it's covering your colleague's back. And so that check six philosophy is applicable in anything outside of the military, in teamwork and working with groups and people. So it's making sure you have all your ducks in a row. Especially, you DJ events and weddings for 9 years, you just learn to see things quicker. And it's always being proactive and trying to think a step ahead. Not that you're going to tell the bride or the coordinator, here's what's going to happen. You're like, hey, I'm seeing this. I just want to let you know. We can do this, or if we do that, we may have a better outcome. So the check six is you see a problem and you address it with the parties involved, and you probably save someone's life doing so. Or
like that.
or the
situation. Yeah, okay. I see that.
That's what manufacturing logistics does. It just makes you think outside the box.
Yeah, I like that. You're a problem solver, you're a leader, you've got everyone's back, it seems like, and hopefully your team realizes that. What excites you about being here in the River Valley? I know you work in Northwest Arkansas as well, a lot, but what about what's the differences in Northwest Arkansas and River Valley? Because you're covering up to where? Springfield, Missouri?
Well, I'm right on the Arkansas-Missouri border.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and what I like about Fort Smith is the quality of life. Especially where I live, it's very peaceful. It's very calm. Not a lot going on. It's a small town, and it makes the weekends good. And it's just a good place to raise boys. Being from the city, growing up in apartments, tight spaces, the Midwest life is definitely a change of pace. But I've always tried to be the person that can adapt and adjust. I'm a big sports guy, and so there are people that I watch, and I'm like, man, if I can emulate their calmness. Like Phil Jackson, who played for my favorite team, the New York Knicks, go Knicks, and is a very successful coach for the Chicago Bulls and Lakers. The guy never gets upset, you would think. And he's just very calm and collective. And I kind of seen that kind of leadership, and that impresses me. Like, if I can be the guy that's not breaking sweat under pressure and can see the end result, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for that. There's just been a lot of, I can go sports all day on examples, but there's a lot of pluses to the River Valley. I think family, my in-laws lived in Central Arkansas, and they made the trek up to the River Valley. They grew up. My wife's from here. And so it's really cool to be back where your wife's from. And then my other son was born here as well. There's a lot of good offerings. And the cost of living too down here is pretty good still for now, until there's a boom or folks up there Northwest realize, we need to come down here. Well,
did you see that they're going to be building a Bass Pro Shop in the area as well?
I did see that. That'll be pretty good.
I'm thinking the growth is going to come to this area soon, because there's been such a large influx in Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville area.
There has been, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit, because I was thinking about this. I think about this often, because I had a friend years ago who was looking at homes, and this was 5 years ago, and he couldn't find anything within the major cities in Northwest for less than $275. He finally got a home, a little more than that, just about a year or so ago. But when I think about Northwest, there's a lot of growth, but there's also a lot of concerns with sewage. I'm involved in a couple of groups, or know folks involved in a couple of the big groups like Urban Land Institute, Northwest Arkansas Council, and you just hear the situations with the sewage situation, and you're like, well, that's a lot of work, and it's going to continue to be more work. Like I had someone tell me recently, Walmart is building a super center at Centerton, and there's a sewage problem. And Walmart says, you know what? We're going to take care of it. We're gonna buy all that. We're going to get that, and it's going to go right to Centerton. I'm like, well, Walmart can do that. Walmart can say, I'm going to do something and put the money that normally you'd have to have voted and have to pass measurements on. But Walmart said, we'll handle it. And that's pretty cool. But up in Northwest, Cave Springs was kind of the place that a lot of folks were moving into, folks that were coming in to work at Walmart for the vendors. And now the place that I'm hearing where folks are going to start going more is grab it, because there's a lot of land out there. Cost is not as bad. It is a drive, especially with that new bypass they built connecting Missouri and Arkansas. That area is going to grow. And Centerton has a lot of still growth, and high fill. Well, high fill is by the airport, but I see grab it being that place, because Bella Vista, it's an acquired taste. Bella Vista, it's very hilly, and it's not for everyone. And so right now you've got Goshen, that's outside of Fayetteville. You've got Huntsville. You've got Elkins. It's very country rural, but more folks that want to have land that maybe didn't grow up in the Midwest but like the idea and have the means to do it, they're going to start moving out there more, and you're going to see growth happening, because you can't get anything good. I mean, you have reports, you have numbers, you talk to individuals. It's hard to find a house on a 350 in those main areas.
Well, those areas we were just discussing, not Gravette and Centerton and all that, but like Bentonville, Rogers, some of those areas, those homes are 4 times more expensive than other areas in Arkansas. So, and that's probably even more so now that a lot of the remote workers from Walmart are having to come to Arkansas if they decided to keep their job with Walmart.
And that's the thing. So I have met individuals. When I was at JB Hunt, I knew of a handful of folks that worked in Northwest but lived in Fort Smith, and they'd make the commute. And then vice versa, folks that worked in Fort Smith but lived in Northwest. And I think, being from New Jersey, I used to have a commute like that, and I had to pay tolls. The plus is I have the commute. I don't have to pay $10 a week to go up and down 49. I am trying to see if they can rename it after me. I do drive 49 a lot. But no, I mean, there's a lot of pluses in Fort Smith. Fort Smith has manufacturing that it may get overlooked by some, but it really shouldn't, because it is a big economic driver. We have amazing manufacturing here. I mean, the companies that are already here or have been here the last few years, and the chamber, with Tim and Tanya, they're going to bring in more, and they're always in discussion and conversation. There's still a lot of space for good manufacturing. With Whirlpool, I had heard the effects of it. But you know what? We have Ream, ABB, Hytrol, Graphic Packaging, Mars Pet Care, just to name a few. Owens Corning. So it's just going to keep growing, getting better. Planners as well. I keep coming up with names as we go. I'm a big manufacturing guy. I'm also on a manufacturing board with young professionals. So being on that board and also loving everything about manufacturing, very much pro manufacturing, and those opportunities are going to create more. Now, there is trouble. I've talked to manufacturing folks, different companies that say, it is a challenge to bring talent to Fort Smith, because it's maybe not a Dallas, it's maybe not a New York City, or maybe not a Tulsa, Oklahoma, hypothetical. And so I hear the challenges, but I think it all depends on, what your situation and season of life here. And if you have a young family, I think it's a great move.
Well, and Chaffee Crossing is kind of changing a lot of that for people, I think, the housing area.
And that's going to be big too.
It's grown a lot out here in the developments that are occurring. I think will help bring that talent in for people to want to be in Fort Smith.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just, how do you price the market? There's a gentleman up in Northwest Arkansas. His name is Tom Allen, president of Sage Partners. He's done a lot of work with the Hunt family, Mrs. Hunt, who's built Pinnacle Hills pretty much and made it the amazing place it is with the AMP and all the restaurants there. He did a podcast interview with my friend, Brian, who actually does invest in multifamily in Fort Smith and in Northwest. And it's a really good podcast. Tom had talked about Northwest Arkansas has similarities to a couple other mid-sized cities in the U.S., Omaha, Nebraska being one of them, and Huntsville, Alabama. And so it's like, what city does Fort Smith emulate? And how can Chaffee fit in? Because when I think about, I lived in Tulsa for a while, and Jenks is a small but yet really cool place with some really cool amenities.
I like Jenks.
Yeah, Jenks is great. And you got Broken Arrow, which is like the next biggest city. They have a lot of great offerings between hotels and dining and all that. And so it's like Fort Smith does a lot. And I know I've heard the pros and the cons of people for and against Fort Smith, but Fort Smith services all kinds of needs, especially our neighbors across the border, Oklahoma. And you're talking about anyone up to Russellville. You come into Fort Smith. I mean, there's a lot of offerings here between what they have set up with the mall and the shopping and the resources, like the Ben Gurion Water Park. I think that's phenomenal. In Northwest Arkansas, they have one water park in Rogers, but it's tucked away deep into like what is considered Bentonville. And in Northwest, it's really simple. Lowell is kind of the middle point. So anything from Lowell up to Bentonville, everyone's going to want to try to go there. And then Lowell down to Springdale, Fayetteville, they're all going to want to stay there. And in Fort Smith, you just kind of just are able to go. I mean, Van Buren and Alma and Greenwood, yes, they're all scattered, but believe me, we're all going to go to Fort Smith because there's a lot to do, and it's worth the drive. Even though it's long, you're going to do it because it's kind of a middle.
Right.
Where Northwest, there is a real divide, and people are like, well, I don't want to drive up there if I don't have to, kind of thing. But I think it is interesting. How does Fort Smith line up with other cities in the U.S. like it? Because, and I'm sure that the key decision makers, the city and the chamber, they have that information. But I think it's important for the locals to understand, yeah, Fort Smith is pretty good. Yeah, it may have its reputation, may have its opinions and all that, but there's a lot of good offerings
Every
here.
city does, though.
It does.
I know we kind of got off on a lot of other things. I want to get back on you. So you served on the ORU alumni board and helped raise over how much?
100,000.
Okay. What inspired those efforts?
Well, those efforts were really, when I had joined the board in 22, the gentleman that oversaw the fundraising efforts had stepped into the boss, actually the executive of the alumni board. And so I was like, man, I've seen a lot of potential to do things. So I started doodling, writing notes, drawing up plans. And he's like, you know what, let's talk some more. So we talked, and he said, look, someone proposed a 5K run. You're a planner and organizer, and I'm pretty sure if you start something, you're going to finish it. So he said, why don't you take on this? And I was like, well, that's amazing. I'm not a fundraising guy historically. I'm the guy that I'll do social media because that's easy and there's not a cost to it. But this was like a growth moment to say, I've never done this, but I'm going to give it a shot. And I had no idea how to put a 5K together, but planning and organizing, I like those things. I've done those things enough. I do it every year, every month, so why not? And it ended up working out really well. There's a lot of a lot of things that go into a 5K, from getting approval from U.S. Track and Field, from asking people to give. And at that time, we were pitching scholarships for students. That was the big push. So I'll tell you this: I had a budget. I hit the budget and exceeded. It wasn't big dollars, but if I borrowed money, I returned it, and I returned it with plus in return. And then we did the event again, and we had some new board members come on board. And that's the fun thing with my time on the alumni board, is meeting alumni that are old enough to be my grandparents and my parents, and the relationships. And I'm an old soul, even though I'm in only my mid-30s. But it was just fun to build those relationships and learn from those that have seen and walked life before me. But we did that event. That event was even more successful from a fundraising standpoint. And then we did a big dinner where another board member and I helped raise a lot of support. I actually helped get the governor of Oklahoma to the event, as well as individuals from the congressional office and just local state representatives. So it was really fun. I'm a politico, although you wouldn't know, but that was a passion of mine a while back. So it's fun. And there's a balance. You can engage with those who you disagree with politically and still get things done. And that's been fun to do. So that was a very successful event. And so all in all, those three events help raise. And the biggest thing is we're a growing school. We're doing a lot of good things, but at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out ways to raise support. And one of the ways to do it is organize events and do events that alumni are going to want to engage, and also people in the community. Right. And so that worked out well for us in that season.
Well, that's not the only thing you've done. You've done Wine and Roses,
yes,
right?
Great group.
And I just want to talk about some of the more local things that you're doing and have done. So can you tell us a little bit about?
So Dawn at the Cancer House, she's amazing, great to work with. And it was one of those where I'm new to the area and I was trying to find a way to get plugged in. A lot of great nonprofits out there. And Wine and Roses was the first one I got involved with. A great opportunity. I helped them at their big event. And that was a lot of fun, from setting up tables and chairs, securing a vendor for the entertainment portion, and then getting the chance to do it again next year, which is exciting. It was a good event, great turnout, and really happy with it.
So you're not the entertainment?
I'm not the entertainment.
Oh, darn.
Now,
see, we were supposed to go to Wine and Roses this year, and my husband was working shifts that ended up going over, which of course, rightly so, he needed to take care of his patients. So we didn't make it. So I'm hoping we're able to make it this year.
Well,
the following
it'll
year.
be a good event. Yeah, I was able to help secure a great photo booth vendor, and they did an amazing job. So you'll hopefully get to enjoy that next year. But it was good. It was my first involvement really with Fort Smith on the nonprofit side.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it. And I look forward to doing it again.
Well, maybe even I can help you.
Hey, I'll take you
That's
up on
what
that.
we need to do.
I'm gonna write that down.
That would be fun, though. I hate that we missed that event, though. So how do you manage these leadership roles both in Fort Smith and in Northwest Arkansas? You're a busy man.
I am a little busy. I think my wife thinks, I know she knows I say pretty busy. She's very supportive. I mean, she understands the mission, the task and she stays at home with my 2 boys. And so I got to make sure that the activity I do does support the community, but also has a work aspect where there is a return on investment that says, yeah, you can do these things. Because that's the thing I've learned.
Right.
You don't want to overload yourself with all these committees and groups and then lose focus of the main task, which is to represent the business well, but also support it and drive the business and grow it. And so there is a group I'm involved with, Northwest Arkansas. It's a commercial real estate networking group. And my involvement there is there's a lot going on there, or I should say. But we've hit an over a year mark. And so we have figured out how to work with each other, who does what. So I'm not having to do as much. So at first there was a lot that I was doing to support the group and all, because great professionals from construction, engineering, real estate, but not all of them may have had the experiences or have the time to organize and plan the event, send out press releases, solicit government officials to have them at the events. And so those are kind of things I've done through even my time at J.B. Hunt in Central States. And so those are things I've learned, and it's benefited the group, because when you do, like, man, someone from the senator's office is here, or someone from the congressman's office is here. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, man. I had a professor, he actually passed away this year, and I've known him for 15 plus years. That guy was my coach and my friend, and learned a lot from him. And so those things that I do now is because someone a long time ago
You've had good mentors.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
And so I'd stay busy, but how I manage the calendar and also trying not to do as much. So the hardest thing is not being able to go to events you want to go, because it's like, hey, it's a time commitment, and I'm really trying to always be better with time and family and get home at a reasonable time. But it's just deciphering which events are worth attending or worth driving out of the way for, and which ones are not. Mm-hmm. But even in Fort Smith with the manufacturing group, I mean, we meet a few times within the quarter, and our events are very minimal. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing this year with AMP is not a lot of events, but when we do them, we're going to do them really good, and we're going to get people behind, and we're going to let people operate in their strengths, not I have to do this because so-and-so is not there. We don't have that person. So it's just finding the balance and understanding that go with the flow of the group. And once you learn that, you realize you don't have to do as much. You just got to do what needs to get done.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're managing it all well.
Trying to. My book's coming out now.
So do you still DJ some?
I do.
Okay. How do you fit that in too?
Okay.
Or how many events do you continue to do per year? Or do you do it quarterly? How do you balance all of that?
No, that's a good question. Wedding season is... There's 2 big years in wedding season.
Like in the fall, I would assume.
It's going to be right around end of August through November, right before Thanksgiving. And in the springtime, it's more of April, it picks up. It hits up in May. It hits a climax in June, and then it tapers off in July.
Okay.
And most of the weddings are on a weekend. Mm-hmm. So it's Saturdays for the most part. And then occasionally you'll have a Sunday, or on occasion you'll have occasionally an evening. I mean, the companies I've DJed for, they normally have DJs that are available during those times. So it's a good part-time gig. And I've been doing this since 2016, since when I lived in Oklahoma.
Okay. Did you just enjoy doing that? I know you said you played the saxophone, you played the piano and things like that. So obviously music
I like music.
Been something that you've really enjoyed your entire life.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it comes to DJing, I've always wanted to do it. So in 2016, I was like, man, I want to go. I want to try this DJ thing.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. I had got an email from a company, and thankfully I did not go to that company because they don't have the best reputation. They've been around for a while, but don't have the best reputation. And they're going with another company that I met at a business event and at a wedding. Mm-hmm. And then I joined them, was with them about 7.5 years out in Oklahoma. Shout out to Banks Entertainment. And then about a year and a half ago, because a lot of the weddings are in Oklahoma, I'm like, I have a family, and those drives, 2-hour drives, they're hurting me.
Yeah. And
so I said, I need to find something local, something where I'm in Arkansas, not so much outside the state. So I went over with Brock Entertainment. He's been around for 20 years. He's done a lot of stuff for Sam's Club, Walmart, and DJed all over the state. And so the DJs companies I've been with, they do a lot of good work. The owners are good guys. They take care of people. The vendors like them. They do a great job. And so it is good to be able to work for people that they're business first, but they also are human as well.
Yeah.
And they help you and they provide resources. I like music. I mean, I grew up listening to music. My dad was a big music listening kind of guy. I don't know where in my family there's musicians. I heard there were, but got it in the 5th grade. Started in the 5th grade and never stopped since. And
well, what was your favorite event to be a part of from
wedding?
The DJ perspective? Wedding or any event that you've been a part of?
I wasn't allowed to DJ my own wedding, but that's a good thing. Well, there was one time I worked an event in Oklahoma with Oklahoma's most revered weatherman, Travis Myers. Giving Travis a shout out. Make sure I'll tag my friend as well to let him know. That was one of them. It was really cool to work with personally. Then I DJed a wedding in Arkansas for, I think, Brian Anderson. He ended up playing professionally with the Marlins and the Brewers, and he was an Omaha. Okay. Well, he played for Arkansas baseball. I'm not sure they went to the Baseball World Series when he was there, but those are the ones I could remember because I mean, there's been some really good events and not some so good events. But overall, I have a winning record, and most events are pretty well. And you learn a lot too, going to weddings and just seeing how coordinators work. There was a time where we didn't really want to work with coordinators because we were trained to kind of plan and organize like them. And then now I'm in a place where you know what? I like working with you. You just tell me what you want to do. And so I've grown as well in how to work with the vendors and all. I mean, there's been some fun situations. I have never been in the situations like other DJs have been that involve the opposite sex, which is a good thing. But the other situations have been like one wedding in Oklahoma. The mother of the bride almost got kicked out by the casino that I was DJing at. And I was like, well, that is different. I mean, the wedding was good. The bride was happy. Mom, not so much. But that was one of those where it's like, listen, you did what you were supposed to. You took care of everybody. You gave them a good time. This was like 2017, 2016. Mm-hmm. I think that's the one that's very interesting. But for the most part, it's been fun. There was one family, I DJed like 5 weddings. It started with one wedding in 2017, and then it went to another. And that was a cool experience.
They've gotten to enjoy you for several years.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, you said y'all moved here in 2022. You've got an extensive background in CV from just hearing everything. And here you said you had a really good church home. You've mentioned church a couple of times, but how do you plan on instilling those values in you have 2 sons?
2 boys, yes.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be a big deal. I think that was one of the best things about moving to Fort Smith was the church dynamic, because it's a church my wife had been going when she was a young person, or young lady, and it was like, it was a no-brainer. And so that was a good move, community and a place for the boys to grow up and all. Faith is very important. I mean, that's, to me, faith in God is key. It's how I go about my work day. I am not perfect. I do make mistakes. That's why I need God, because I make mistakes and I need forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's, I open myself up when I say that. I was like, well, there's this expectation. Christians are supposed to be perfect and all that. Hey, we make mistakes. But faith is important, and instilling the boys to love and treat people right, work hard. And I'm sure they're going to make mistakes. I'm sure they're going to do things they shouldn't do. We all have, and we've learned. But when they make mistakes, that there's a right way to handle it and a right way to take away and learn from it. So faith is a very integral part for me. Work and family, instilling good values, loving others, working hard, standing by principle, and not being lazy. But they're very young right now, so that doesn't really apply.
No. But I mean, they see your work ethic, so I don't really see how they're going to end up being lazy.
Well, no, their mom is she's a pretty sharp lady. She was a school teacher for a while, and the intelligence will more than likely come from her. But what not to do, they'll dad, of course. So.
How do you think faith has shaped your leadership? You mentioned it briefly, but
servant leadership. I think it's putting others before you, and it's also how to respond to situations. I'm from New Jersey, so there's a perception that most of the country has about New Jersey, New York folks, that they go from 0 to 100, which is very true. However, faith in God challenges me like, hey, don't you need forgiveness? You need grace. Wouldn't you like not to be yelled at? Wouldn't you like to have someone kind of walk you and say, all right, hey, you messed up, but we're going to fix it? And I think it's also, and I'm going to paraphrase this non-biblical term, the Rotary Club. I did that when I was in Oklahoma. Service before self. It's so important, putting others before you. And it's also, how would you like to be treated? And also, because of faith in God, there's also an expectation of you're supposed to act and be different. And I'm not saying that as like it's a stereotype. It is the truth. You are supposed to be different. Do I get it right all the time? No. But when I do get it right, more often than not, there's a difference where I want to show a level of compassion and show a level of grace, but also encourage and empower people. So like if you messed up and I'm mad because it's like I got to redo something or it's going to cost, I'm like, you know what? Hold on. Hey, They need some compassion. They need some mercy. And also, it was an honest mistake. Why don't we try to help them understand, hey, you may have done something wrong, but let's talk about it. Let's walk it out in conversation and then say, hey, this is what we're going to do next time.
Right.
Because it's like, think about it from their shoes. Like, well, that's true. Thinking about it from the other person's perspective when it's hard to. But that's how faith shapes my leadership, is others before you and doing your best to think. Now, there's going to be hard decisions. I admire the folks that can make hard decisions, and it's not like they did something wrong. It's just the emotional part. It's a challenge, but I have a lot of respect for those that can make those hard decisions in the sake of good practice and good business. And not that they don't like the person and they don't care for them, but when you got to make a decision that is hard, you got to make it. And that's the other thing about faith too that gets overlooked, is being able to make the hard decisions, knowing that there's a time to heal, but then once you're healed, you moved on. Both parties are better for it.
Yeah. Well, what would be a takeaway for your listeners today that you really want them to know about yourself and the business that you're a part of, Jan Pro, and what do you want them to hear?
I just want to let them know wherever they work at, if they want really good, clean toilets and a great team to support keeping it clean, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Commercial, residential? No.
It's commercial.
Okay.
It's commercial. And it's just amazing. The American dream of entrepreneurship, and it's amazing because franchising is a great vehicle. Jan Pro, year after year, keeps getting good ratings, good rankings for starting a business. And the cost, honestly, is a manageable cost for the most part. I mean, you have the options to go big as well, but the cost is not as bad as if you were to start a food franchise, which is like all the buku's bucks. But it's just amazing to see, and I've seen in the year and a half I've been, franchisees that started out making a few thousand, building their portfolio to where not only are they doing very well, but they're able to empower and give others opportunities to grow and to get established and work towards the American dream. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing.
It sounds like y'all need to be hitting southern Arkansas too, because you mentioned Little Rock, you mentioned Jonesboro, you mentioned Rogers, but I don't hear anything south.
Like Texarkana?
Well, I mean, you've got other cities. You've got Pine Bluff, you've got El Dorado, you've got Star City, you've got Monticello. You've got so many areas in the South that you could be hitting for people that wanted to have a franchise in those
absolutely.
areas.
And the great thing about it is that, and this is a good plug-in, like I didn't even tell you to say that because that was a good lead, but we cover the entire state, and we actually have franchisees in those areas and in the team.
I apologize because I just didn't hear it.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know why that's good though? Because you were helping me sell.
Yeah.
And I like that. So no, you did everything perfect. And I didn't have to tell you. That's the good vibes right there and the good dynamics when what you just shared. But no, that's good. I mean, our franchisees, a majority of them, the bigger are in that Central Arkansas because they've been around since 2005.
Right.
Northwest Arkansas and Jonesboro, we're working. It's going to take time, but we're working on it, and we're taking the victories as they come. Mm-hmm. But we've got a great team out of Little Rock that supports those efforts between the leadership and our marketing manager. She's phenomenal. She is lights out, amazing. And so we've seen a lot of good activity and results just in her time here. But we do reach out. That area is strong, and so we're trying to find a way to duplicate the processes and best practices in Central and the other markets, fitting the dynamics. Right? I mean, we are in Arkansas, but every region has their bread and butter. But no, it's one of those where we're working on it, and it's a little slower than others, but it's all in due time. So.
Well, there's supposed to be a Buc-ee's coming to Benton.
I am very happy. My first Buc-ee's experience was this year in Springfield, Missouri. I got a picture with Buc-ee.
Did you try their brisket?
Yes, it's amazing.
It is good.
And their chips too.
Yes.
I forget what they call it. Yeah, it's called. Oh no, I didn't do that one. I did their potato baked chips, but yeah, Buc-ee's is amazing. I will find a reason to get down there.
Well, I just mentioned that because it could be a good.
Oh yeah, we will be there. Listen, there's nothing, even if it's not reoccurring, we do one time. There's nothing impossible that we can try to present a business.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming today. I know you have other places to go as well, so I appreciate having you.
Thank you.
And learning more about your history and Jan Pro, and hopefully we can get you some more clients.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Same to you.
All right.